Cool. Thanks everyone for joining us here. My name is Nick Danielson. I'm a sales manager here at Hudl for high school sports out on the West Coast. Have a great group of coaches kind of brought together to talk through the evolution of film and the future of film and data within football. I want to give everyone a chance real quick to introduce themselves, give us their background, position they coach, and we can dive into kind of, a panel of discussion here. Coach Hinkins, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, Dave Hinkins. I'm a head varsity football coach at the high school level, Xavier in Wisconsin. This is my 25th year in that role.
Anyone else? You guys can jump in rather than
I'll
going.
go next. Kyle Amitas, assistant football coach at Maroa Forsyth in Illinois, about 3 hours south of Chicago. This is my 10th year on the high school staff. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, happy to talk.
Dan Mullins. I'm at Cartersville High School in Cartersville, Georgia. Coach outside linebackers and kind of done it all in the strength conditioning between high school, middle school, all the way up to the college realm.
Awesome. I'm Elliot Bowling, defensive coordinator at Lincoln Northeast High School. I've been in that role for about 5 years, but been coaching high school football for about 12, up from freshman up through varsity and everything in between.
Cool. Thanks guys for joining. I want to start off. We've got a ton of experience, some younger coaches, some we'll call it more experienced coaches rather than older coaches. You guys have seen film evolve a lot in your time. Some of you probably dating back to VHS or myself when I got into it, I was on the DVD side of things, all the way up to, digital, cloud-based, multi-angle capture. What are your guys' thoughts? What do you think is that next big leap we can expect in coming years in video and football?
Yeah, I'll jump in on that one. I think the first one that comes to mind is really what kind of brings a lot of us together right now is like the AI side of things. So I feel like the first jump of like really being able to get all of the video and huddle and that stuff, it was like more data gathering. And now we're coming up with really intelligent ways to use that data and actually action it. And I think the AI side of it is making that like even 10 times easier than it would have been before. So, it's anything that helps us really focus on the time with the kids and with the players rather than a bunch of that, hacking away at a computer stuff is welcome, I think. So that's the first obvious one for me.
Yeah, for me on it, I would say I one plus that, but also immediate access to video. And whether it's practice or in game, just having the immediate access to be able to teach and provide that visual learning component. So being at practice, being able to immediately have access to the content following practice or in between sessions to show kids, provide that very streamlined process for me. It's just like having everything right now and tying that with AI and bringing a data component to that is really exciting.
I
Do you,
see, I see, going from VHS to DVD to cloud, and then I think now it's higher quality video and more. So it's, every angle you can think of, I think is the next. Like if I want to see, I always come back to like video game. If I show a replay, if I'm playing NCAA, I can take that camera and put it anywhere and
Yeah.
like hone in on a specific person. It's like that's kind of what I see like very specifically to video is high quality, any angle you want all the time. Um,
Yeah, that reminds me, we've started using drones to film our practices now, and we're in love with the angles as opposed to what we typically get with an end zone or a sideline view. Now we're right on top of the play, and you see everything you want when you get that angle.
yeah.
with uh with AI, I want to hone in on that a little bit. Do you guys see a future as that progresses, as different companies and we start utilizing that in our coaching space? Do you see it more about an efficiency thing? I know, coach, you hit on that, just being more efficient with your time, or is it more of a ability to dive in or deeper insights or really break down things that maybe you couldn't have broken down before, or probably a combo of a little bit of all of it?
Yeah, I mean that's both is always one of my favorite answers when given those types of questions. All of the above. I think the possibilities are endless, but where it hits the hardest right away is when it's accessible even at the lower levels, college and high school, and its efficiency. The efficiency gains you get from it are huge because there's all different sizes of programs out there, and some guys who are trying to turn it around somewhere might only have 4 or 5 guys that are really committed to getting stuff done, and that's so anything that helps them be more efficient and actually get the hit with the most value that they bring to the table, which is getting in front of the kids and instructing them, like a lot of that other communication. We have so many other avenues to do that, and that's where those efficiency gains will be huge.
I agree. I think, obviously I think of the reports and labeling film as being the two most obvious areas, for AI to step in and almost serve as an extension of the coach. But I think it also goes a little bit deeper than that into how we train. I've used AI prompts to analyze data within exercise science, some of the other data that we collect through that, and to be able to identify trends. Well, if we can use AI to identify like down and distance tendencies better as the game evolves, but also identify what our individual athletes are better against. Whether it's this outside linebacker is better at fitting the run, this one's better at blitzing, this one's better at situationally, allowing us to identify tendencies where our own self scouting might not be able to pick up on. I think are also areas where we can dive in and get a lot out of AI.
And I want to add to that too is the ability to quickly streamline and getting the right content to the right person and using AI as a medium for driving the content to the right individual group and provide a seamless ability to get a playlist and content directed to your DBs, your linebackers, your line, etc. And to make that process streamlined and immediate is really exciting for me. So it's getting your kids looking at the right content in immediate time.
Yeah, I think what everybody said resonates with kind of how I think about it. The other piece, I think there's two paths, like the efficiency and deeper insights is on the efficiency side is okay, now everybody gets that base level of data. Maybe like AI can apply the super basic stuff really, really fast. And maybe that's all that some programs want to do. And now they can just focus on coaching. But maybe that then allows other programs to say, okay, I spend 10 hours a week breaking down film and 5 hours of that is the basics. Well, now I can do 10 hours and go deeper with the same amount of effort. It's like the effort stays the same, but you just start from a different place. So you can actually go deeper and get into it. So I think that's what's exciting about that part of it.
I want to merge the two. We talked a little bit about video. Coach Hinkins, you brought up um, just the ability to have like video on demand, whether it be at practice or at games, live replay system, things of that nature. Do you guys think we'll hit a point where we can have that video on demand, but AI is brought in so that that data is also on demand and auto tagged alongside that video? And then how would that affect, if we get to that point, how would that affect your guys' weekly prep with practice and being able to have video and data on demand at that time, or without having to manually chart during games, have that data manually sent down, to your system on the sidelines, your coaches in the box, alongside the video?
Yeah, what would be exciting for me in the practice model is clipping or recording individual segments and having data applied to that, creating a playlist, being able to quickly share that content out post practice so the right groups are getting the right information and having data applied to it. Again, having immediate access to video and data and being able to teach faster, more completely, and more specific. That concise information being directed to the right set of eyes is something that's very exciting. And to have most of this automated through video capture and or AI on top of it just brings more power to your teaching abilities.
Um, Shifting gears a little bit, there's a lot of new things coaches are doing. Coach over in Chicago, I know you guys are big on, wearable data, player load management, metrics, things like that. Do you guys think there's maybe a generational difference or a gap in younger coaches more veteran coaches in adopting technology, or is there a resistance at all to adopting technology and not just, I trust my brain. I've been doing this for 30 years. I can do this better than the computer could tell me how to do it, that sort of thing. Do you guys see that in your peers or amongst your coaching circles?
I think there's maybe a bit of a generational cutoff at like the technological evolution, like, but not necessarily this go round. And I think that's part of, one of the beauties of football and coaching and all the different positions and how many guys it takes. Like we most staffs I've been a part of have at least some mix of old and young, and so there's a fear of the technology side of it. But if they're past the fear of the just technology in general, like I don't want to get on a computer, I don't want to, have to have an app on my phone for this. Like then you're clear of that hurdle, and so I feel like there's actually a good mix of like young and old alike. And the coach I coach with, head coach Josh Jostis, Hall of Famer, like he's as old school as they come in certain regards, and is pre that like technological evolution era, but he is a big fan of the data and the analytics and learning from it. So he might put some of the other coaches on the specific tasks, but he's super engaged with the results and the benefits that he knows are coming with it.
Shifting again, so live replay, it's been around. We've been, a lot of us have been using it. It's been available to use in the high school space actually longer than most of the college, all of the college space actually, aside from a couple states. Um, do you guys think that instant feedback changes the way your athletes learn? I know a lot of coaches use it for games and games only. Coach Hinkins, I think you said you use it for practice. Do you guys think it changes the way your athletes are learning and being able to have that live video on demand?
I don't think it changes the way they learn. I think it it is the way they learn, right? Like they learn from seeing it. So the more you can provide that, and it's kind of this might be a made up stat, but like time to insight, if I send them a playlist 24 hours after the game or after practice, okay, you can learn something from it, but if it's on their phone when they get back to their locker and they can see it, like that muscle memory can kick in. Like I think they can learn the closer to real time that you can teach, the more actionable that teaching is.
Yeah.
So if the more live video and data that we can bring and present to our athletes, I think it's the world that they're growing up in. You're right, like they're used to that, and sports needs to keep up with that in order to continue them learning.
I think the more it sinks in too, it connects the dots for them even faster. So it's that, that learning and teachable moment sticks with them even faster. And we use that. Before 20 years ago, you would have had to rep it 100 times for it to sink in. 10 years ago, you had to wait until the next day and get the DVD out to show them what you were talking about and then hope that it sunk in the next week. Like now it's, you picked it up, you've made the adjustment at halftime, and we can run this play in the second half now. Like that's the evolution and how far the instant feedback has brought us. And so, yeah, now it feels like we're saying take that to a fourth layer and add the AI on top of it. And I'm not only going to know like that we're going to run this play better in the second half, but it's also going to happen with this much of a success rate. Like we're,
Well, and
that,
I'll
that,
take it back because I'm an O-line guy, and the one thing I wish at every practice I had five different sets of eyes on five different O-linemen to make sure things are being taught right. Pipe dream, never going to happen. I might get two, some young guys with me, but with the ability to get those kids instant feedback after a drive at practice or after an 11 on 11 period. I think someone said it, it's going to sink in if I can hit them before that next practice period versus them seeing it later that night or them seeing it the next day. So being able to have that live replay and use that with my team is
yeah,
having a different set of eyes on every single position for every single play.
yeah, yeah.
I think it
Where
makes
did 52 come from, right? Right guard says A gap, right tackle says V gap, whatever. And it's like, nope, let's get it out and find out right now.
Yeah, and your left guard says, "Who's 52?"
Yeah, yeah.
Um, as schemes change, right? I played in the wing tee. in high school. I went on and played in like a power spread type system in college, coached a lot of different systems when I got out of college. As schemes evolve and we all change, we pick up new things. Do you guys think technology is going to lead to a greater sense of schematic change and more complexity and things like that because of how we can teach, how we can analyze, how we can break down and scout out other opponents? Do you guys see that having a direct impact on the actual schematics of the game moving forward?
Yeah, I think it's going to impact creativity. Like you can see that type of stuff happening already, as far as the intricacies of play calling and how much even, how many of us saw orbit motion 20 years ago in high school? Like you didn't see that much, and it all eventually trickles down. And I think a lot of that is to do with the deeper insights that you're getting from the AI side of things and tendencies and taking a deeper dive because now we know that they're going to, read this a certain way. So we're actually going to change how we've always called this play because we know that they're, being coached right to cave down on this. And now we're going to actually run it completely different than we've ever run it before. I don't think you saw that in yesterday's game. And now you do see it in today's game, even
I'm
at
going
the
to add
high
to
school
that.
level.
I'm going to add to that before some other coaches weigh in, because on the flip side, could it have the reverse effect? It could actually simplify our game and simplify schematics because now that we talk about efficiencies and the ability to get efficiencies back, and I think we can all agree, arguably the most complex scheme is not always the best scheme for your players, right? So on the same note, could it flip it and actually simplify some of our schematics a little bit to uncover some of those um, consistent plays, inconsistent plays, what is actually working, what is not, and actually rein coaches in a little bit from the mad scientist whiteboard sessions.
I I I think it could, it insofar as like you could really quickly learn like, hey, we run zone read really, really well. Like it's our most efficient play. Like we see the data, we see the video. Like let's just stay on that and continue to hammer that because it works, and instead of throwing a bunch of stuff out there and trying to figure out what works by feel. It's just like, hey, these are your four plays that you're best at, no matter who you're facing. And so, like that's what we're
Yeah.
going to do to be successful with the personnel that we have. Like that is a way that I think maybe it could simplify things, but at the end of the day, it's Jimmy's and Joe's. Like you got to have the right people for the scheme you're trying to run. So I think that determines a lot as well.
I'm going to latch onto
Yeah.
that, Coach. You said it all comes back to, who's on the field and what you're teaching and what you guys are doing, right? We've all been at programs, we'll call them the haves. We've all been at programs that are maybe the have-nots, the ones that got all the athletes, the ones that don't have any of the athletes, the ones that have all the money, the ones that don't have any of the money, right? How do you think technology plays in the factor of level setting some of that? If you're a program that maybe doesn't have all the resources in the world, doesn't have the roster size, you're carrying 30 guys for a varsity roster or 28 guys for a varsity roster. How do you think technology can kind of bridge that gap a little bit and be utilized by some of those programs to give themselves a chance versus some of those larger programs or more affluent programs or more talented programs? Or does it?
Yeah, I think
Does it? Um,
there's absolutely way. I mean, it's all about your tools in the toolbox, and like maybe at a smaller school and in a smaller place where you're trying to turn it around and you don't have as much support, you can only afford a few of the tools. But I think the other beauty of technology is there's so much that comes with that. There's a lot of options out there and things you can put in the toolbox, and so if a coach is smart with that, um, I think they can do a lot with a little. And like I said, all these technology pieces that can help you gain efficiency means you can have 4 or 5 guys on staff and still affect some real change. And so it does, I think, level the playing field if a coach is using the right technology.
yeah, as an extension of your coaching force, an extension of your manpower.
Yeah.
Do the
Yeah.
job of 30 with a group of 5.
Yeah. And it made me think of something else though too. Sorry, I'm just saying what pops into my head here, but that's the side like the when your roster's low like that, that's even more where the beauty of like the wearables you mentioned earlier, and that like you really got to be dialed into your player performance and things like that, and your condition, like the condition monitoring of your player, to know that you're not pushing anybody too hard or too little, and keep them as well in that zone, especially if you got a varsity roster with 30 kids on it. You need to keep them all in shape, and those really make that. You don't want to be the reason for soft tissue injuries, and overtraining, undertraining is a big reason, a leading cause of soft tissue injuries, right? So we, I think it makes that side of the technology pieces that are out there even more important.
Here's a question for the group. If you guys each have a thought here. What's a piece of tech that if you could wave a wand, you had to your disposal that doesn't exist yet? Like what's something out there that you man wish, here's a problem I could solve, or here's somewhere we're coming up short. I wish there was a solution out there, but there just isn't a solution out there for that yet.
I think of helmet sensors. I don't know how realistic that is, like with like that kind of does exist out there, but I think it's still such an infant technology, and it's certainly not accessible at the high school level. But I think that's the number one reason that safety side of things concern is one of the leading causes for kids not choosing not to play football. And I think the more tools we have that can show we're doing things as safely as possible and keeping kids in the same condition as when they started playing this game, uh, is a huge help.
And for me, I think it is. I think it's stuff that probably does exist, but how do you scale it down to the high school level? And that's, you know, the like I said earlier, the video game style replay where I can show a play from a player's perspective and like teach them from that and learn what they're seeing and do that. Like for all 22 that are on the field, right? Like that would be amazing to be able to just go in and say, "What did you see on this play?" and like easily access that and like sit there with them and coach them through that. There's ways to do it, but like it doesn't scale to all 22, especially at the high school level. It'd be really hard. I think that would be cool.
And for me, I would just love to go to every game, home or away, and not have to set up any camera of any kind, and you have multiple angles with immediate access to the video and the data. That'd be really awesome. Um, I can tell you in November in a playoff game in Wisconsin and it's snowing out, setting up all this stuff, getting all this to work, that's a pain point. Hauling this stuff around. I would just love to be able to walk on the field like a basketball coach gets to walk into a gym and just coach a game and their content's there. That'd be great. Home and away with multi angles and collective buy-in across the state where everyone share the same philosophy. It would just save a lot of time and immediate access to that content on a large scale where you could get access to a library of whoever you're going to potentially play, have all that content, all that access, and have that all streamlined. That'd be my wish.
Yeah, that would the setup, the tear down, the reliability, the weather factor. Not all of us get to play, down south or on the coast. Um, what I'll end it with this. If you think about Huddle, take a step back and think about Huddle or any similar video platform for that matter, just video in your sport. Um, 10 years from now, what would you want them to be doing that they're not today?
Mm.
I think it's to Dave's point is I don't want to have to think about it. I want all the stuff that I want and I just want it to be there. That's video from every angle, that's all the data. So that I can focus on uncovering those insights or like have those platforms deliver me those insights based on what I'm looking for. Like if I go scout, I look for these specific things. Why can't it just give me those things so I can start my day with it and then go deeper or get that to my athletes sooner? Um, like just being able to focus on coaching more than being a data input or film guy. Like I want to coach.
But really, rather than the first 4 hours of your game planning week, gathering data, doing data, gathering film, organizing is start your game planning with those things ready. And now it's your job as the coach, and you can start your deep dive for
Yep,
what pays the big bucks at that point is the actual deep dive portion of it rather than the preparation portion to get ready for the deep dive.
exactly.
Yeah, one plus Elliot on that. The only other thing that I would add on top of that is just an openness to everyone having access to the same content, with just a more open mindset on just having a library that's accessible to everyone. So it's a level playing field. What you do with your content, it's all above board, and it's everyone has access to the same stuff. It's immediately available, and what you do with it, you do with it. And I would just love a world where we just have access to a video, a library to be able to teach from and to use it however you want within your program.
Do you think we're getting closer to that just naturally? I know the NFL is obviously has an open exchange for years now. College at the Division 1 level, they moved to an open exchange within the last decade where there's just a full library where you can access everybody's film through various sources. High school is arguably the furthest behind in the nature of an open access film exchange, right? We all have our league exchange pools that we probably have, a gentleman's agreement to make sure games are in there by Sunday, Saturday afternoon or Sunday morning, depending on your league. Do you think we're getting closer in our space and our level of actually having coaches more open to truly an open exchange platform of film where everyone has just agreed your film is in there, it's open content for everyone?
I think it's closer because of live streaming. I think with all the live streaming that's happening now, availability of the video has really increased from what it used
Yeah.
to be 5 years ago. So if you really want to get video on someone, there's a lot easier avenues of getting that now with all the live streaming that's happening than it was previous to this. So I think the receptiveness to that and the understanding that there's so much video out there, I think it's more likely, but I'm not saying it is likely. I'm saying it's more likely.
I mean, I can say this in our conference, like our conference agreement up until 2 seasons ago was 2 games. You got to request 2 games. They could be any 2 games you wanted, but you got to request 2 games on the film exchange, which is made way easier with Hudl now because it's just click of a button and everybody agreeing on an email. But now, as of 2 seasons ago, we had a couple of the coaches in our conference go to the conference meeting and say, it's, what's the point of this really anymore? And voted for we can ask for anything we want, and everybody, some are still, I think, a little not on board with that, have a little bit more of the previous mentality of, no, I only want to give you the film, 2 films. But most are seeing the writing on the wall, I think, is really it, because like he said with the live streaming, it's inevitable now.
Yeah, the old days of my film's my film, you're not going to get a hold of it. Those are gone. We can all
Yeah,
we can all get each other's film in perfectly legal ways without doing illegal
yeah,
like scouting.
yeah,
And at the end of the day, we're almost just making everybody's jobs harder by gatekeeping it rather than just
yeah,
make everybody's job a little bit easier because we're all going to get it anyway, but we're all going to take an extra 2 hours to go get it. Why not just
yeah,
and there's a little bit of old guard there of, back in the day of, you know, I'll go back to my very first question. The old days of swapping VHS and DVD tapes at the gas station at the halfway point are gone, but there's still people, a lot of people that are coaching that were doing that. And they were only
yeah,
given 30 VHS DVDs back then, and they don't want to exchange it
yeah.
now. But I see a turn coming. I don't know realistically what it looks like. You're never going to have full buy-in of every coach. Say a state at the 4A level, there's an open gig. I would love it, but I'm on the buy-in of the film is there, it's available, we can get it anyway. I would
Yeah.
love to get to that point of having a little more full agreement, which goes back to the little bit of generational gap and adoption of technology as well within your programs at the same time. It kind of circles back to that. So, well, I thank you guys for your time. I'll never skip a beat to jump in and talk ball with some ball coaches. I enjoy
Heck yeah.
it's kind of I get to merge my two passions of coaching football, but then also the huddle side, the video side of things, the nerd side of things, for lack of a better term with football. So thank you guys all for your time.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Thank you.